Alright, welcome back. Today's video is an upper body day. We are doing kind of a hybrid day today. My normal week breakdown is my first upper body session of the week is always focused around the bench press. My second upper body session of the week is focused around the push jerk right now. Last week, for those that don't know, I'm a single father, so sometimes my schedule gets mixed up depending on if I have my daughter, if I don't, if she's got things going on, things like that. Last week was one of those weeks where we had a crazy schedule. I wasn't able to get to my session on Saturday and do my jerks. So I'm going to move that Saturday session to today, do my push jerks today, while also doing some of my exercises that I would normally do for my first upper body session. So we're going to do jerks and bench press today. And then when we get to Saturday again, we're going to do jerks again. So sometimes you got to move things around because life happens, but that's where we're at today. Before we get started into the session, I just want to say thank you to everyone who has been subscribed, who are interacting with the videos, liking. The growth of the channel that we've had over the last month is pretty cool. We have about 3,400 subscribers right now. I have certain checkpoints on things that I want to do with this channel. 5,000 subscribers is the first checkpoint. My plan after getting 5,000 subscribers is to release a free program to kind of expose people to my method of training, the way I like to do things, and I want that to be a track program. That's going to be all of your speed work, sprinting, some plyos, everything put into that. The only thing that program won't have is the weight room work. From my experience, most people are most uncertain when it comes to the sprinting and the speed work. So I want to create a free program. It'll probably be 8 to 12 weeks long. That'll break down every single session, have sets, reps, like an actual full complete speed program that you guys can have as a free resource. You could throw it into the program that you're already running. You could do it by itself, however you want to do, but just something that I can give back to you guys as the channel grows. So 5,000 subscribers is the first mark that I've had in my head where I will release a free program. Then we've got some other things down the road that I have planned. And as we get closer to those, I'll kind of disclose what those will be as the channel is growing. So appreciate you guys. Make sure to like and subscribe to the video, and then we'll continue this on the road. So today, push jerks. This is going to be technically my week 1 session for push jerks, but my week 2 session for the bench press. Not the most ideal setup, but sometimes you just got to roll with the punches. So that's going to be today. We're going to do 5 sets of 4. We're going to build up to somewhere around 7 RPE on those sets of 4, and then continue that for 5 sets of 4. So my last few sets will probably be more than a 7 RPE, which is fine. After we do the jerk, then we'll move on to some trap bar rows, bench press variations, and a little bit of accessory work to get today. So for my jerks, as you guys know, not a big fan of doing a whole lot of warming up. So we're just going to get the bar up and overhead. And then we're going to add some weight on the bar and get warmed up. So there's not a lot of goals that I have in the weight room right now. Most of my training is just kind of focused on building speed, building up the vertical jump right now. That's the program that I'm kind of working on. There are 2 things that I still want to do in the weight room that I haven't done yet. One of them is power jerk, 200 kilos. The other is power clean, 200 kilos. In terms of training specificity in the weight room, this is the most specific thing towards one of the goals that I'm doing, which is a power jerk. So I've jerked 200 kilos from the front rack, from behind the neck, and split variations on both. I've done a behind the neck power jerk, 200 kilos. Now I want to do a front rack power jerk, 200 kilos. So that way I've jerked 200 kilos every way that you can jerk it. Last one here, the most difficult of those variations to accomplish. For me, it's going to be whether or not I'm going to be able to lock that bar up overhead. I can get 200 kilos up and off my shoulders, but it's gonna be that catch position that's gonna be the most difficult spot for me. So as I'm going over these weeks, what I'm really trying to do is reinforce that lockout overhead, get strong position, and then just build in volume and intensity until we get close to the day where we're gonna max out and try to hit 200 kilos. Questions about these often. What wrist straps do I use? These are made by Onyx straps, which is ONYX. I can't really see the name on here. They're old. Yeah, ONYX. I like these straps. They're thinner. They sit right below the wrist, which is where you actually need support when you're wearing wrist straps. You see people having those thick wrist straps. I'm not a big fan on how those feel. These ones allow me to feel like I have wrist support, but also allow me some flexibility where I can still get into good overhead positions, whether I'm doing snatches, jerks, whatever it might be. I even use these for bench press just because they feel that solid, where bench press feels really good with them. I'm not sponsored by them. I'm not sponsored by anybody. Anything you see me using or wearing, it's because I like it. Some of the stuff are companies that my friends own that I like to support their businesses, but that's probably one thing I get asked a lot about with my wrist straps. So Onyx straps, no discount code. I had to buy these, so you should go and buy yours as well. But set number 2 for the warm-ups, 100 kilos. I think this will give me a good estimate on where I should be at today for my 5 sets of 4. Thinking 140-ish will probably be a good 7 RPE range for those 5 sets. All right, set number 1. My blocks are starting to get lopsided here. One of the downfalls of not having jerk blocks is having to deal with stacking up about 5 crash pads on top of each other with a band to keep them together. So we're about to get into set number 3. The goal of these is to try to make this feel like RPE 7. It's difficult to maintain RPE over straight sets, meaning when every single set is the exact same load. So I'm doing 5 sets of 4 at 140 kilos. My first, or actually I'm at 145. I'm at 145 because I have the cars. My first set, easily RPE 7. Second set, RPE 7-ish. As you continue to go down those sets and you get closer to set number 3, 4, and 5, your rest period is going to have a huge role on dictating that set, maintaining that RPE. So for something like this, if I were to program this for somebody, and I'd say 5 sets of 4, RPE 7, and I would put rest as needed, I wouldn't necessarily say rest 2 to 3 minutes, because that 2 to 3 minute window may not make every set feel close to that RPE 7. So when I do something like this, I'm thinking about getting to a period where I feel relaxed, I feel ready, I feel strong again, I can go into my next set and try to maintain that RPE 7. Another way you could do it, a different way to progress, this would be build up to your top set being an RPE 7 and then take off 10 to 15% and do the rest of your sets there. And then I would say rest 2 to 3 minutes after that, because those lighter sets with a shorter rest period will probably end up mimicking close to that RPE 7 if you're only at 10 to 15% less than what your top set is. Really, there's a bunch of different ways that you can do load progressions and things throughout. I'm going to be doing straight sets for this first block. I'll probably end up building towards a 2 rep max at the end of this training cycle. And then when I start my next one, I'm going to be doing top sets, drop sets, building up to a 1 rep max, which hopefully will be around 200 kilos. So we're looking at that 200 kilo session being roughly 6 to 7 weeks away from right now. So straight sets is good for me right now. But like I said, rest as needed in order to make these feel as close to RPE 7 on each set as you can. That one was a little sloppy. There we go. Done with the jerks. We're going to move on to band pin press now. Alright, bench press today. We're going to do 5 sets of 3, maybe 4 sets depending on how they're feeling. Band pin press, so bar will rest on the safety arms and then just trying to explode through that as hard as possible. Last week, I think we were at about 100 kilos. Today, we're at 110 with the bands. So, relax the arms, get that tension off, get a good grip onto the bar, and then explode through. There you have it. So, we'll do 4 to 5. Depending on how they're feeling. Because we did the jerks before, we might lower the volume on this. Normally I would probably do 5 sets, but we'll probably end up doing 4 sets of 3 because we had the jerks prior to today, which we normally wouldn't be having on a bench press day. So we'll see, we might get up to 5, we'll see how it goes. I want them to feel fast and explosive on each rep. So as long as that's maintaining, then we'll try to get all 5 sets done. Otherwise, we'll probably cut it off around 4. This is set number 4. see how this goes, and this will be the sign on whether we're going to do 5 sets or just keep it at 4 today. Whew. Felt good. Probably have 5 sets in me, but we're going to keep it at 4 for today. So for this day's variation, this is going to be some of my accessory work from what would have been my push jerk session. So with a push jerk, I like to do some sort of heavy row following that movement. So normally I wouldn't go into the bench press. Obviously we're combining days, but the row variation that I'm choosing for this block is a trap bar variation. One of my favorite variations of a bent over row is using the trap bar for a couple reasons. One, puts me into a neutral grip, which I feel allows me to get a greater pull and get more activation throughout the back. The trap bar, being that there's no bar straight across, allows for a little bit greater range of motion. I don't have to fight against that barbell trying to hit my sternum. I can use that gap here to get a little bit more of a pull, and I can also kind of pull that bar back towards me where I couldn't get into this position with a straight barbell, because that barbell would either hit my knees, my quads, somewhere as I'm trying to pull back behind myself. So this bent over variation with the trap bar, what I'm trying to think about is pulling my elbows back and behind me, versus with a straight bar, you're kind of pulling that elbows a little bit further out to the side, and you've got that barbell that's going to stop at your sternum regardless of how high or low you're trying to pull. So we're going to load this up, do some sets of 6 to 8 reps on it. Something at a moderate weight today, since this is the first time doing it for this block, and then we'll build in intensity as we go. But again, not going to be doing it from the floor, so we'll go from the hang. I'll have wrist wraps on, so then I'll be able to hold on to that bar. But you're thinking about pulling the elbows back and behind you, back out in front. Should look something like that. So you don't have to have an open trap bar. You can do this with a regular trap bar that's enclosed. If you don't have a trap bar, you could do some sort of variation with dumbbells. You could do like a chest supported dumbbell row, so lying on a bench, that will still allow you to maintain a more parallel torso angle towards the ground, and then use those dumbbells and think again about pulling the elbows back and behind you, and not just pulling the dumbbells straight up. So a couple different ways you can do this. I'm going to use a trap bar this block. So we're going to load this up, knock out some sets of 6 to 8, and then we'll see what we're going to do after that. I haven't made up my mind quite yet. I think that's going to be it for today. So I don't want to do too much today in terms of volume, because I'm going to be hitting those jerks again on Saturday, and then I'll do the majority of my accessory work for that upper body day on Saturday with the jerks. So I don't want to exhaust myself too much right now by combining those movements. I mean, doing some heavy jerks, some bench press, some heavy rows. Those 3 movements right there, I feel good for today. I'm going to have a sprint session tomorrow, lower body on Friday, and then we'll come back in on Saturday, and we're going to do those jerks again, but we're going to try to do 4 to 5 sets of 3 at about an 8 RPE. So hopefully, if I'm not feeling too fatigued, that should be somewhere around 160, maybe 165 on those jerks. So once we get to Saturday, we'll hit those jerks again, and then we'll do a little bit more volume on the accessory work, but not today since we combine those 2 sessions. 3 movements, perfectly fine. If you hit good intensity and you've got good intent with the session, you don't need to have a full list of exercises that you need to do in a single session. For me, my general rule of thumb is somewhere between 3 to 6. So 3 exercises today, jerk, press, row, more than enough for what I needed to get done. So appreciate you guys watching the video. If you haven't already, make sure to like and subscribe. Remember, 5,000 subscriptions on the YouTube channel. We will release a free speed program so you guys can get out there, get to the track, start sprinting, and see some of the benefits from adding that into your training session. So appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you in the next one.